As the situation in Afghanistan explodes into a million pieces and exposes our inept, corrupt leadership for what it is, I think it's important to take a step back from all of it and pontificate about what's going on in the world right now. All of this, every scandal included, the election, COVID, Afghanistan, the border, everything. It's all on purpose. You cannot have 4 generations of people who hate this country with all their heart because they literally believe it's evil and still maintain your country. If everyone believes we're this horrible thing, you'll end up with a people whose only job is to destroy it. And how do you knock the number one superpower down a couple notches? Well, you pump your population full of anti-American rhetoric and ideological mental parasites for 50 years. You do this by hijacking the colleges and institutions of learning. You radicalize those people and ensure they run everything from the top positions in government in most American cities to every HR department and managerial positions in every Fortune 500 company. You take a journalistic class of people who used to be critics and skeptics of those in power and turn them into sycophantic lapdogs ready to weaponize information when you need them to and hide it when you don't. You take every news story and purposefully lie about it. You take every reasonable policy and invert it. Examples would be immigration, foreign policy, law and order, corruption, gay marriage, right on down the line, big and small. Do you really believe no one can figure out how to solve homelessness? They absolutely can if they wanted to. But that's not the point. You make sure this country is ran into the ground because that's the point. Biden is an embarrassment because that's the point. Afghanistan is a disaster because that's the point. Egg on our face is the point. This is why they're willing to steal elections in broad daylight. This is why they treat us like we're worse than actual terrorists, because what they fear more than anything is populism and an actual democracy. They fear if the public is actually represented, we will reverse everything they're trying to do. The sane might return to power again. And that isn't the game plan. The game plan is to turn this country into a hellhole that's unrecognizable to those of us that had any pride in what our country once was. It's payback for our crimes against minorities. It's payback for our whiteness. It's payback for all of our past sins. It's letting the world know that we won't be number one anymore because we never deserved it in the first place. That's the mission statement. It isn't communism or Marxism. We're not turning into a communist state. Look around us. They've effectively used capitalism against us to spy on us, censor us, manipulate us, control us, change public opinion so that half of people don't even see what's going on or don't care enough to even do anything about it. And they do it by using huge corporations with no elected representatives and no accountability to the public to do their dirty work for them. If the country was based on a sensible, pragmatic, solutions-oriented group of straight white people who used logic and reason to build the world's number one superpower, then it appears they've decided to embrace and use emotional, irrational, senseless, moronic, race-obsessed bunch of gay twinks to humiliate us and bring us down a level. This is why in recent years people are becoming more and more politicized and friendships are ending, relationships come to an end, and family members are becoming estranged. Because as we reach the logical conclusion of all of this, it's not a matter of, well, we agree on most things, it's just what the tax rate should be, or it's just a minor disagreement on immigration numbers, or some small thing like that. No, it's whether you love the country or not. It's whether your neighbors are going to report you to the police for some new Nazi-esque crime that the left will invent in the future. It's whether you're aware of the dire straits that we're in, or whether you still have faith in the system. It's realizing that your coworker is probably going to be on the side of the party that calls for your extermination, or would lack the courage to fight back against evil when it knocks on their door. It's serious, important issues that if one side would get their way, would lead to genocide. And that side is full of people who think they're the most compassionate people on the planet, and that it's us meanieheads who won't go along with it. I've come to realize that every disagreement I have with people on politics comes down to a difference in how much faith we both have in the system. I have no faith in the system anymore, including its most cherished narratives. Eventually, you can take so many red pills they turn black. It's just too apparent at this point that every event is calculated or leveraged against us by the global hegemony who wants the worst for this country and will resort to any means necessary to get what they want. Having faith in the system is simply a matter of ignorance of this fact. It's innocence, it's naivete. To be a dyed-in-the-wool leftist is to be an ignoramus. To be whatever version of right-winger I am is to have about 1,000 paradigm shifts. It's to become aware of the illusion for what it is. I remember my first exposure to the term paradigm shift. It was from Stephen Covey's 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. He uses the illusion of the young woman to show his point. At first, you might see a young lady, or maybe another person sees an old lady. You both argue about what you see and how different your distinctions are, but eventually you both have an aha moment, and you can see the picture for what it really is. That aha moment is a paradigm shift. That aha moment is taking the red pill in the Matrix. As Jonathan Haidt said in his book, The Coddling of the American Mind, and I'm paraphrasing here because I'm just too lazy to go look up the real quote, we all hate the feeling of being wrong. But it's not the feeling of being wrong that we dislike. We hate the feeling of realization that we're wrong. Up until that moment, being wrong felt exactly like being right. And every day we're wrong about hundreds of things, and that doesn't bother us because most likely we feel like we're right about them. Jonathan is describing a paradigm shift. The feeling of being wrong. The feeling of thinking you were right and then realizing you're wrong, and then correcting yourself. Realizing that people are basically cattle to be led around, and that they like it is a paradigm shift that I had during COVID. Realizing that there's no level that the left won't stoop to maintain power is a paradigm shift that I had during COVID and the election. Realizing that the left is currently shaping the narrative around white people in the same exact manner that the Nazis did with the Jews, and understanding the grim repercussions of that is a paradigm shift. Realizing the evil history of the CIA is a massive paradigm shift that you'll never be able to look away from once you've seen it. And everybody is at their own level with regards to this stuff. Maybe you were always kind of right-leaning, and you read 1984, and it blew your mind. That's just the tip of the iceberg of paradigm shifts. But eventually, at a certain level, you realize what it all is. Once you see the truth of how a magic trick is performed, you can never go back to your innocence and believe it was really magic. It's working at the hot dog factory and learning how they're made, and then trying to enjoy your next hot dog as much as you did when you were 6 and didn't know any better. As Stephen Covey said in his book, paradigms are inseparable from character. Being is seen in the human dimension, and what we see is highly interrelated to what we are. We can't go very far to change our seeing without simultaneously changing our being, and vice versa. Paradigms are powerful because they create the lens through which we see the world. The power of a paradigm shift is the essential power of quantum change, whether that shift is instantaneous or a slow, deliberate process. We owe it to our paradigm shifts to fight for what we've learned is right, and also have some compassion for the people that are still behind in the disillusionment process. And the fact that the system works so hard to censor people from seeing stuff that might inspire a paradigm shift is all the more reason to fight to have more of them and share the ones you've had with other people. That's why I started this channel, to expose you to the same things that I've been exposed to formulate new worldviews based on new information and perspectives. And I made this video as a reassurance to us out there that we're not crazy. They are crazy. The paradigm shifts we've had are true and align with reality. They're time-tested. And whatever happens, hopefully in some future history book, our side of the story is told because it is the truth and it is what's right. And it's what deserves to spread and grow. Anyways, that's all the time I have for today. If you like this video and type of content, consider giving this video a like and maybe subscribing. I'll see you all in the next video. Peace.